But of course, we say thank you for joining us on the show this morning. There's something really pressing we want to talk about, and that's coming from the Nigerian police. They eventually explained why Omoyele Sowore was arrested in court yesterday. I mean, people were talking about boundaries. Why don't the police know their boundaries? I mean, why would you arrest someone in court? And, you know, there are so many things people have said. But I honestly think people can be arrested anywhere. How about someone who was just discharged and acquitted in court and then was rearrested right after that, just outside the court, you know, premises, and said, look, there are fresh charges against you, and then back into the police net. So these things do happen. How much more of someone who the police claim that for the 13 people that were arrested during the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, all mentioned Omoyele Sowore, that it was the one that led them to restricted areas. So it will be an injustice to those who have been arrested not to go after Omoyele Sowore. I mean, they have a point there. But what will happen to them? Will they be charged to court? That's another question.
I think, let me start from the fact that the Nigerian police, well, let's say maybe they are doing their duties, but sometimes you question when they start doing the duty. Is it when people start talking? Because obviously, if you arrested the people there, one of the first persons you should go for is the leader of that protest, right? So if you take some people and you're now getting to know that, oh, it was Omoyele that sponsored this, so it was our ringleader, before you now make an action. I
think they wanted to arrest all of them.
Because
but he ran.
Maybe he's a good sprinter. Let's say
he exercises. He's always, you know, for marathons across the country, even outside the country, you always find him there. So he's fit, he's healthy.
So he escaped arrest at that point. But again, let's talk about the Nigerian police force. You know, Hundeyin, the PPR, came out to speak to the issue, and then they said that they needed to arrest him so that justice can be served. You know, just like my tea was served, Yemi's tea was served, and yours was served.
I think Yemi's own is more than mine.
That's what I'm allowing.
Whoever did that really needs to pay.
We'll charge the person to court too. So definitely, when the police brought out this, I felt like, okay, people were already asking for this. Why not just do the first things first in a way to say, let's get this guy even before, because if you check social media, you see that people have been calling that, why get these guys and not Sowore? So they now say, okay, so let's go. So we went to the court. I mean, like you mentioned, anybody can be arraigned or can be taken anywhere. But my point now is, we've seen cases where the police would take someone into custody, and then the time the person is supposed to use legally in that custody will be violated, in the sense that the police will not release the person on time. And we've seen this not once, not twice. But the problem is now that they are going to let them go as soon as they are done with the investigation and some of the things they are doing. But we hope this is true. This is where I'm putting my question mark to say we are watching. Nigerians are waiting. If you say you detain those people, when is it likely for you to release them? Is it going to be within the frame of the law, the ambit of the law? And let's see what becomes of that.
Okay, I think it's within the right of every Nigerian to say, I want to protest or I want to join a protest. If you look at some of our political leaders, most of them have either been part of a protest or led a protest. But then my issue is this, because I saw comment online and some persons are saying, how democratic is it for you to get a court ruling to bar protesters from protesting at certain areas like Eagle Square and all of those things? So that's my concern this morning, because I mean, why was that, you know, taken into consideration? But then away from that, I think Sowore should just have adhered to that to say, do not go to these certain areas. I mean,
should have listened.
A lot of places in Abuja where you can, you know, state a protest and then the government will feel it that, okay, there's a protest going on. I watched a video where some persons also protested in Toronto, even in some parts of the eastern states. So I don't think that was a cool thing for Sowore to do at that point in time. Don't forget that even Kanu's lawyer was arrested, you know, a lawyer Jimako.
And his brother.
And his brother. And people are saying, why was he arrested? Okay, it depends on how we can interpret the law now. Is it that it is not right for someone's lawyer to join a protest? Because that's what
according
that's what
to a communique released by a lawyer, which I read, that you cannot be a part of a protest on a case you are currently on.
So that is justified.
He would have done that as a citizen. Before he became a lawyer, he was a citizen. So if it was just another case, he probably would have been able to join them. But because he was one of the lawyers handling that case at the time, until Nnamdi Kanu fired them yesterday. So
okay, so that's justified then, really, to say that he was arrested on that note, and I think the case is in court now, and then the judge will rule on that. But then I think Sowore went a little bit further to say that, okay, we don't care whether there was a court ruling, we are going to protest in these areas. I think that was an affront
that was
on
overboard.
his part. But protest, you know, in all, I think it's a good one.
It's actually not a crime to protest.
Definitely.
I mean, everywhere around the world,
Fundamental human right.
it is civil liberty. You can actually exercise your grievances against the government by, you know, protesting and making sure that it doesn't go out of hand, it doesn't get hijacked, and doesn't become violent. And one of the things I noticed was that while they were protesting, when he ran, he was mentioning something to people close to him that let's go to Beggar, let's go to Beggar. He was saying that in that video. It means that he knew exactly where to go before he went to those places, restricted areas, as you put it. So I want to believe that it was more or less, see, no matter how undemocratic it seems, for the government to have banned them from protesting in so many places like the Eagle Square, the National Assembly, Aso Rock, and some other places, it might be undemocratic, but then they have a court injunction. There's a court ruling that says you cannot come here. And then going against the court order itself is a crime against the law. So that's, for me, is where he went overboard. I mean, that shouldn't have happened. But someone like Omoyele Sowore should know better. But as you know him, as we all know him, Omoyele Sowore will always want to, you know, be singled out for some things. He would want to be seen everywhere. So he doesn't shy away. From time he was in school, if you read about him and, of course, witnessed some of the things he has done, he has always been at the forefront, in the mix of things, at the center of, you know, so many controversies. So he's not the type that shies away from criticisms. He's not the type that shies away from things like this. So most definitely, he knew what he was doing before he went there. And he knew what was going to come out of it.
Okay, I don't think he's even scared of this whole arrest. Someone that has been getting arrested since the 90s.
I'm very sure
this particular arrest, he already prepared for it.
He knew it was going to happen. He
obviously
purposely placed himself out there.
I saw the video.
It was going to happen. I watched the video where he was trying to organize the Kanu. I said something to him, you'll be released soon. For someone that said that and he was arrested a few hours later, you imagine something like that. So I think he prepared for this arrest. It was definitely going to happen. He was arrested a few months ago and released, where a video came out that, okay, they did something bad to him, they broke his arm and the likes. I just hope something similar to that will not happen again. We'll not see videos of, okay, these people dealt with me severely and the likes. But I think he prepared for this arrest. And I think going forward, I think for someone who has been a presidential candidate twice, I mean, for ACC or something, that's his political party. So I think he should know better. You are doing a good thing for the country, a good cause, fighting for someone that I'm not even sure it was close to at any point in time. But that should work for you. But then at this point in time, I think going forward, if at all you want to stage a protest, can you follow the court ruling? Some persons are saying, okay, maybe it's not really proper to get a court ruling to bar people from protesting in certain areas. But then it has happened. The court has ruled, so follow the court ruling. Honestly, that's my take on this matter.
Let's quickly take a side swipe at the police. What is the role or the responsibility of police officers in protest? Sowore said they already wrote to the Nigerian police that we're going to have a protest. So when you write to police or security agencies during protests, they're supposed to ensure that there's safety. They're supposed to ensure or help you ensure that there's no infiltration by other people to, you know, take over the protest and make it become a nuisance to society, right? So that's like but again, one of the things we saw, because we were in the video I watched was saying that we are fighting for you. We are trying to speak to the government for you. He was talking to the police that we are trying to help you guys to get your welfare. We know you're not being taken care of. We know some of the things that you guys are going through, the remuneration, the salary scheme, and all of this. So it's something we are also trying to work to get better. But again, sometimes I wonder, what is the use of tear gas in some places? I'm not talking about the restricted places, but during protests, it's become a usual thing for Nigerian police officers or security agencies to just fire tear gas, even when you're not. I've seen this. I don't want to bring out the fact, but I've seen where normal civil protest and all of this is going on, and then the first thing they are doing is that they are just shooting tear gas. But these people are not even nearing those restricted zones yet, but you just want them to disperse. And these things, should we talk about the medical implication of that too? People's eyes and all of that.
People will die from that, really.
There are people who die from those kind of
Even
things.
without gunshots.
But can we make it better? I know people even in outside climes and all of this, we've seen developed nations to Nepal, like the last one we had, people died, there were tear gas and cannons, water cannons and all of these things to disperse people. But sometimes we question how that is supposed to be. These people are innocent in a sense. They are protesting. They are not bandits. When we should attack bandits, we attack the right people, the innocent people. These people are just asking for their voices to be heard. It's not a point where you have to now target and say we will shoot. You've seen videos of police officers saying they will shoot. This is a protest. Nobody's fighting. There's no gun in my hand. I'm holding a flag. And I don't want to make mention of a particular event that became a national issue, that people were holding Nigerian flags and then they were still shooting at them. And this, I think it's high time we talked to the police too, to take it quiet, to take it a bit, yes, diplomatic.
Are you looking at the side of orders? Because it's not about the police now. I don't think any policeman would do that without, getting orders from.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
We can talk about the hierarchy, yes. The people that are giving the command.
challenge now is that one of the things we sometimes overlook is that, at any time, when it is time to choose between national security and the rule of law, national security will always trump the rule of law. Yeah, it comes first. And yes, you mentioned that they wrote to the police, but then there was a court order, meaning the court order supersedes the letter written to the police and then supersedes whatever it is that is on ground. Now, the case of national security, don't forget recently, whether it is true or wrong, recently there was a communique, and of course there was a news that broke that there was a coup scare in the country, and then some people were like, oh, who were behind it and the likes. But then the government has come out to say it's not right. But for every lie out there, there's an iota of truth. So you might want to come from there and go and say, look, they are trying to protect the country, trying to protect national infrastructures, and trying to forestall any form of uprising in the country. So because if you juxtapose what happened there now in Abuja a few days ago to what happened in Nepal and so many other places in the country, it started that way before it metamorphosed into something bigger. So it is better for you to stop it at that very beginning than wait until it becomes a problem. Now, people got injured. There was tear gas everywhere. But it was minimal to what would have happened when it becomes a bigger protest, and then it turns out to a violent one, and then it gets out of hand. So I think in one way or the other, when taking strategic decisions like this, people will still have to bear the brunt. Some people, a few people, will have to bear the brunt, and that bolts on national security. So if the federal government wants to help the Nigerian people, one of the first things they will have to do is to provide adequate security. Now, if it snowballs out of hand, becomes a problem. It is not just the people at the corridor of power that will bear the brunt. Even the people who do not care about the protest will have to pay the price. So these are challenges that the government do face sometimes when it comes to making strategic decisions.
Here's why I brought that perspective. Right? The body language of maybe the government or the police has not been favoring protest. And we've outlined that a protest is something I should do if I want to express my grievance, right? It's my human right, right? I can say we want to protest because we are not saying this. This government, we are speaking truth to power, help us with this and all of this. But what becomes of an average person, let me tell you, from what happened at NSAS protest, a lot of people have changed their mindset about protest. A lot of people would never protest in Nigeria again.
Right. It's sad, but then I also want to add that, you see, the kind of energy we use on protesters in Nigeria, if you can adopt the same thing on bandits and terrorists, it would have been a very good role. I think we would have gotten headway in this issue of insecurity. A few days ago, some bandits, about 400 of them on bikes, attended a wedding ceremony.
I saw the video.
They had a great time, and when they were done, they left peacefully and nothing happened. 400. About 400 of them.
A very good number of them. You needed to see. There was
no tear gas.
Guns, big guns.
There was nothing.
Artilleries.
So what would you make of that? Let me also cite another example. I think I read a story this morning. A lady was kidnapped in Edo State, and then they released a video to say, if you don't pay 20 million naira, we're not going to release her. In a country where we have BVN, we have NIN, we have drones, but then we cannot.
To what account are you paying that money?
You wonder. We cannot trace those
Mm.
persons. But when it comes to protesters, we have the tear gas. It's a sad situation. We are not trying to justify what Sowore did by working against the court ruling, but then certain things must be talked about. Can we begin to develop the same energy? I mean, for the so-called bandits and terrorists. And then we have headway in the country. It's a sad one.
Above all, one of the most important things for the government to do is to look at some of the areas where the government is failing. And that is actually protecting the Nigerian people. and that includes on protest grounds too. The responsibility of the police, especially when they have been written to, even if they were not written to, is to make sure lives and properties are safe during and after protests. So this is one thing they should look at. I mean, this is the primary objective of the government anyway. So it's
quickly. I saw a video. There was a time there was a protest in Lagos, and police officers were handling pure water,
yes,
and maybe chewing gum, and
they were giving them snacks,
even biscuits. And I clapped my hands, really. I literally clapped my hands for this is the right way, right?
Even biscuits were being distributed.
I mean, it's just everybody's just expressing. We're not killing nobody. We're expressing our minds. Now, again, let me say this because, of course, Kanu listed 23 people. Governors were there, Balarabe, and some other people. I think Sanwo-Olu was also listed as his witnesses. I mean, that's another part.
I was about to go there, but we don't have too much time.
We do not.
He fired his lawyers in court yesterday, and he represented himself. I mean, that's quite massive. All right, this will be the convenient point to draw the curtains on this segment of the show. This morning, we say thank you for being a part of the show so far. Do well to link up with us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, click on the notification bell, and of course, you get to watch us live each time we come online. All right, let's go on a quick break. While we return with a weather report, we'll be back.